probably our own worst enemies, though, but in that we bring this on, like, you know what I mean? We ask for it, and, you know, particularly when you start engaging with all this stuff, that, you know, we know, it's the thing we're saying, like, it's not as if people don't say that magic ruins your life.
Yeah.
You know, we know it does, but it's by design. It's not that it's,
Yeah.
you know, because that's what people kind of go on about. Oh, what about what's the worst kind of pushback, or when everything went wrong, whatever. When the things go wrong, an awful lot of times, that's your magic actually working.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. What, like, in order for you to get what you decided you want to do, you know, sometimes you have to lose your job or whatever it is. Like, like sometimes, like, I mean, it depends if you're working with particularly mischievous entities or whatever, or you've particularly bad shadows. It could be just bad luck for bad luck. But
yeah.
But it is what you sign up for as a magician, as a witch, or whatever label seeker that you want to put on it.
Hello, and welcome to the Spirit Box podcast, where we explore folklore, magic, the world of the spirits, and everything in between. Today, we welcome back the multi-talented Tommie Kelly to the show. Tommie is an Irish artist and writer who has had a lifelong interest in all things occult and spirituality. He makes comics, videos, podcasts. He's a blogger. He's also a musician and a singer. And he's probably best known for his oracle deck, the 40 Servants. Tommie truly is a polymath. He's ridiculously talented. I almost don't like it, to be honest. It's a bit much. So in the show, we talk about how it's been a hard year. Tommie details learning to play the algorithm with social media and figuring out that he was packaging his magic badly, and he had to recalibrate and look at things in a different way. We talk about the elemental nature of success and how things collapsing can in fact be your magic working. In the Plus show, we get into learning Irish and speaking Irish more. We talk about the Dark Man and Irish Folklore, the experiences around shifting, and Tommie gets into his remarkable experiences with the entity Black and Saturnine synchronicities. If you want to hear the Plus show, super simple to do so. Simply join the Patreon and get the entire Plus show back catalogue and all the bonus show extras. And if you're watching this on YouTube or another video platform, then remember to subscribe and hit the notification button. You know the drill, all the usual stuff. Right, let's get on with the show.
Here we are. Well, Tommie, that wasn't the least bit of a confusing start to the show. We've had a bit fucking.
No, here's the thing, that anytime I try to record anything or do anything remotely related to technology, it just decides not to work whatsoever. So you 100%, this is my fault, even though it's nothing to do with me. It's definitely my fault.
Well, really nice to have you back on the Spirit Box. It's been a while. It's nice to have you back on the show. I was just saying, kind of in between trying to fix sound, fucking video feeds, everything. Sorry, it's not a nice way for me to start the show.
But it's a truthful and honest way.
It's a truthful and honest. I'm slightly sweaty now as well.
Yeah, so am I. It's like, it gives the wrong impression that we're having some sort of heat. It's not. It's stress, exhaustion, and moisture in the air. It's
exactly all of that, all of the above. The reason I kind of reached out to you for a chat is just seeing the kind of the amount of work that you've been producing is just really impressive, really inspiring.
Thanks very much.
You know, not least with obviously Turbine Syndrome a while back, and your recent song as well that you released. You know, which is fantastic, really great.
Thank you very much.
You know, really enjoyed it, and I was just like, I have to give Tommie a shout and see how things are going. You know, so how are things? You're very welcome back to the show.
Thanks very much. It's great to be on. It's always good fun. It's like just touch like a touchstone every now and again to see what Dara's up to. It's like being, as people say, it's like two people over here and two people talking in a pub. That's a very very perfect description. It's been good. The last kind of while, there was, say, last year. Last year was particularly tough for me. You know, I'm in this journey, man. Go through periods that are quite dark.
Oh fuck yeah.
and it was particularly bad last year. A number of reasons, notwithstanding. Have you seen the fucking state of the world? And all takes an impact, and that obviously. Then it's very hard to be creative within that. When you barely want to live. Do I really want to sing today? Probably not. But I still manage to do a fair bit. But over the last while, I just kind of I have a new lease on it, and I was kind of. It felt in one way that things were becoming stagnant, or that the energy had gone from it. Like say with the 47s or something like that. It seemed like the whole interest had waned a bit, and I was kind of wondering, is that it? Is that is that the moment past? Has that been the kind of has it been saturated? Is anyone who's ever going to be interested, and that's it. And particularly on social media, and it just goes to show just how much you can be influenced by social media that you're unaware of. Like no one's watching the videos if you put them on Facebook, but it's more that Facebook wasn't showing it to anyone. You know what I mean? And it's not getting out there. And anytime those, you put up a video, you post it on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, and if you have a link, or if you have YouTube, or if you put the word sale, or literally anything, and it just no one sees it. To the point that even if you see Foolish Fish when he's putting up his videos, he doesn't even link to the video. He just puts the thumbnail of the video on his Facebook. Really? Because if he puts the URL in, no one sees it. Like on my page, not my profile, my page, I have like 26,000 bots, let's say. But I assume some of them are actual people. And if you, any of these, websites, if you try and link to your newsletter or any of it, no one sees it. Like literally, like 6 people, and they're not real. So I was going, right, well, that's kind of it. What do you do? That's it. But what I've discovered over the last while is that it's just I've been using social media wrong. I've been using it like it's 10 years ago. Right. It's just not what it is anymore. And if you kind of work within that, where you go that Facebook does not want you to leave Facebook. So anything you do that tries to get people to leave Facebook, they're going to punish you for it.
Right, okay.
So you, rather than linking to YouTube video, if you put the video or the podcast or whatever it is embedded into the Facebook or the Meta universe, just show it to people.
Right.
And then it turns out people are interested in what you're doing. It's just, and I started doing, I joined like TikTok 3 years too late. But for my age, I think that's all right. At least I got there in the end. I'll be next time. I'll get into the amazing world of Snapchat 10 years too late. But then realizing that when you do the reels or the whatever the talks, whatever the kids call these things, the short videos, and the subtitle, whatever. Like I've been doing that for I'd say 2 or 3 weeks now, and my videos, say on YouTube, the audio is always more than even the audio versions of the videos are always get more plays than the actual videos on YouTube. So I'd say you're getting average 300, 400 views maybe on your video. You're getting thousands for 20 seconds of that video on Facebook and TikTok and. It's exactly the same. It's the same information. It's the same everything, other than you package it differently. And so this is actually coming around to what you asked me, or what the thing was, that it's what I've found that an awful lot of the reason why it was such a hard year and such a hard thing over the last while is that I was packaging my magic badly. I was doing it in a way isn't what, excuse me, I got a bit too much into the mysticism and forgot that I was actually a case magician. And so it's the last while I've just been trying to, as the statement goes, re-enchant my world and actually do some fucking magic rather than sitting around, close my eyes, count my breaths, waiting for the wonders of the universe to be revealed to me when the time was correct.
That's cool. That's cool. But definitely I've noticed like all the kind of the book reviews, the book intros that you've been doing. Across on Instagram. It's like that's the only social media platform I'm on is Instagram.
Right. Yeah,
because I gave up on that years ago, Tommy.
But then how do you get the word out then on what you're doing? Then like I know before Facebook and social media that was really a thing back in the day. You used to go to like, because I was doing comics predominantly back then, you used to go to places like markets and talk to people and show comics in the face and stuff like that. And that was it. That's all you could do, really.
Yeah, I think what happened with me is like I started doing YouTube in about, I guess, 2017. But it was just kind of, I had all these lectures. Well, I had a couple of lectures that I'd done on my photographic work, and nowhere else to put them, And I used to do kind of little bits on bobs on photography. I put it on YouTube, and that's kind of where it started from, really.
Right, yeah.
And a couple of people shared it. That was it. But
say now when you've a new episode out, whatever, or like, how are you getting new people to listen to it? Or are you just hoping?
I don't really know, to be honest.
Right.
Like it's just on. I just share it on Instagram,
right.
But I have guests and they often share it, But I had like over the last couple of years, and through my own like practice, like a spirit contact and the kind of the main spirit that I work with, like keeping quite. Again, I'm laughing at this because it's so fucking mental. I was saying this.
Right?
Yeah.
You're in good company.
Thank you. It's a safe space. Like basically say, this isn't for you. Like that kind of social, being kind of heavily marketing your work and like in a way to build your audience that makes sense. That is like a practical approach to support my podcast, saying like this isn't for you.
Right. Okay.
To withdraw from that and really, if I'm honest, I'm not very good at it anyway. I don't think I'm very good at it anyway. I don't think I write in a way that's conducive for people to kind of actually, oh, that's interesting, I'll have a look at it. Like usually it's by accident. If I get it right, it's by accident. It's not a planned thing. But yeah, that has been part of it. Has been I have a small kind of aperture through Instagram and through YouTube, and I'm just going to put them out kind of as when I do them, but I'm very lucky, people like it and listen to the show, even though most of my setup is pretty basic and poorly.
The DIY approach, the punk approach. There's something I just kind of feel like that would you consider yourself a magician? Like, would I be
more of a witch?
Witch, right? But like a practitioner, let's say.
Yeah.
In that we seem to have this notion of not being magical about what we do, which is very strange. You know what I mean? Like, it's like oh no, you don't do that. I was going like, well, why? Why not? Why am I not doing that? Why am I not approaching? And it's also, I think there is a bit of kind of, for me, we were joking before we start recording about the Catholic guilt, but I think there is a little bit of Catholic guilt in how dare I want something. That's an affront to God. Like that you can do the thing, and then whatever happens is up to someone else to decide, right? It's like put it out there, and then it's not your control.
Yeah,
it's out of your control. And while to a certain extent, I think that's a very good approach in general, because it takes out the lust for results, and it also takes out the kind of kind of book them and they will come, or build it and he will come, or whatever. It's that, that once I do my thing, then the universe has my back and everything is over. And then, of course, try making your thing and understand that the universe doesn't do shit.
Totally.
But I also think that the kind of, for me, I'm only speaking for myself, but it just seems that it's interesting that could in your thing as well, that it was just kind of, well, why not? I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to be super famous. That seems like it would be a horrible thing. But I do think, it's a shame for the amount of effort and stuff that I put in to one end to then just go, whatever. It's on Facebook, I don't give a shit anymore. And it's like, well, why did I write that song then? What was the point? Part of it is, of course, that you have no choice, and it's a compulsion just to get this thing out.
Absolutely.
Like you're a champ. But another part of it is going like, I think maybe we're a bit too easy with our excuses. Go, oh, I don't know. I'm not a marketer. I'm not a thing. But you could probably do slightly better. Not you, Roy. us. We could probably do slightly better than what we're doing, which is nothing. Just hoping that. But it's kind of leaving it to fate or something in some way, and a bit like what you were saying. Your spirit was saying to you, that's not for you. Yeah, well, what is though? But,
I think a lot of it is like personally speaking, in that context, that it's probably something that I would get like overly engaged with. Like I'd get overly engaged with, like, constantly trying to kind of put the coin in and pull the arm on the slot machine of engaging with social media. I think it would probably just be banned for me if I was constantly engaged with it. I think it would be detrimental.
I know what you mean, but I'm kind of, I suppose I'm going to it by understanding that it's not what I'm doing, it's how I'm packaging it is the problem. So it's not that there's in any way extra engagement. It's going that there's no point in posting a video on Facebook, so stop wasting your time. You're not going to be punished for that. Take 10 seconds of it, post it on Facebook, and you're the king.
Yeah.
But it's you haven't made a video particularly just for Facebook or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's the same content. It's the same thing. It's just like I suppose it's like if you had to years ago when you were selling your wares, your books, whatever it was at the markets, the fairs, whatever it was, and you've tried to sell someone a CD, you go, well, no, you're in the wrong place to try and sell me, or a CD-ROM or whatever it is, trying to put your computers. It's like trying to sell in the wrong way. And we're always trying to get people to go to YouTube or the thing, because there's some hope, I suppose, at the end of the day that turns into money. I mean, it doesn't though.
No, it's very hard to. I think it's there's only very few lucky people that kind of manage to turn what they love into like a sustainable income, a sustainable way of life. It's very hard to do that. This is a thing where I felt that if I was attached to that outcome, like that I'd stop kind of enjoying like the conversations I have and enjoying the kind of the expert.
Yeah. If you were going, I have to have this conversation with this guy because that'll get me X amount of clicks and
exactly
$50, whatever.
Yeah. And it's like my stuff comes from really a place of curiosity. Like for a lot of it, much like yourself, there's stuff that I'm just compelled to do, and if I don't get it out, then I'm not going to be well.
I know. And I mean, I know that. There's no I understand what you're saying. And it's also like, that's my end of the deal, that I kind of have like, I've done my bit now. Whatever. It's something. Yeah. And I do get it, but it's just, I'm enjoying kind of engaging with Mammon or the algorithm or whatever it is. Just kind of, but from a kind of a more witchcrafty point of view, like weaving and kind of trying to be wise about it and stuff, and cunning and glamour and all of these things. But that's the perfect kind of battleground for all that. So I'm kind of seeing it more not as, I suppose, wanting to actually excel at that area for the fame, the money, whatever. Jesus Christ, if I wanted fame or money, I'm in the wrong business. But as a Magick Glack, well, what is here? Where's the malleable bits? What can I find about reality from this? The kind of zeitgeist we're in, all of this, rather than just kind of not participating in it because it's not what I'm. It comes naturally to me, but it's like one of those kind of boundary pushing.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough, and like as I said, like seeing all the stuff you're producing, which I think is great stuff as well. Really interesting work.
Cool, thanks, man.
Like it was cool to kind of I must give Tommie a shout. Like, well, from my perspective, and and I want to be really like honest with people. It's like this is like it's my thing. Like when I start bitching about social media, it's like I'm a middle-aged man. Like if I'm not
these days with the music, what's that? That's not music.
If a middle-aged man is not giving out about something people 20 years younger are doing, then you need to be suspicious of that person. that's my view on it. But it's just one of those things that like I've found that the more kind of involved I am in my kind of like spaces where I'm close to nature, I'm happier, you know. And I
Mm.
spend a lot of time looking at screens, a lot of time looking at
Yeah, yeah,
screens.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I just I need to personally balance that. And I feel for me, can we talk about kind of like the magic happening? It doesn't happen for me in front of screens, you know, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
or engaging with digital spaces that much, you know.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's part of
yeah.
like the witch stuff for me ended up being very like it's very primal, it's very nature focused,
Mm.
kind of those experiences that I've had kind of when I first started having them, like everything else stopped. It was like this is where you know, this is where I am, you know.
Yeah. I guess I kind of, well, because I that resonates with me big time. But I also have this notion of trying to keep things in balance, particularly like through the focus of the elements.
Yeah,
I'm going, well, what am I doing in art? Well, I mean, that's covered. You know, well, what's your story with emotions? Well, they're a bit all over the place. I'm a bit watery most of the time.
yeah,
And then you go, well, what are you doing for air? And where is that? Where's that going? You go, oh, well, hold on, not a lot there, really. You
mm,
know, um, or you know, fire. Well, the fire is the creativity and all that, and then you above, below, whatever you want to do, and just
yeah,
kind of see it all, and kind of have a more of a rounded approach to it, whatever. And then seeing things as well, like because we always for an awful lot of time put like say shelter, basic needs met, comfort, money, all of that in the kind of
mm,
earth
mm,
realm, you know, in the element, whatever. But it seems more and more that it's that kind of thing is air now. You know what I mean? It's the more mercurial, particularly like
right,
the online stuff and all that.
yeah,
And that it seems like it's two separate things now. Like it's kind of getting the word out and the money. It's two different things. You know,
yeah,
it's like the selling, the marketing, and all that. It definitely feels more airy than it is
mm,
earthy. You know,
yeah,
it's like earth is money in the bank, or
yeah,
you know, no, not earth is money in the bank. Well, in it's investment or whatever. But say earth is more wealth in having all these books. That's
yeah,
wealth.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
but air is the money in your Revolut account. But
yeah,
can actually, you know, it's moving about. That
yeah, yeah.
isn't real. Isn't doing any of that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. I think that they're important reflections, you know, because when people get into kind of magic, use magic in the broadest sense, like in terms of their practice, like they can forget about the real stuff, you know,
Yeah,
they can forget about kind of like, well, actually, you know, we still have direct debits going out, you know, we still got to put food on the table, all that kind of stuff. It's very real.
yeah,
And there can be a real sense of like somehow that it's not parallel with magical practice. Like it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
absolutely is. It facilitates the space and time to do magical practice. You know,
yeah.
and not least to kind of maintain, you know, one's life. Like it's very important. Like
I think an awful lot of that stuff comes from as well this old idea that we have, or it's prevalent, starting to really grate me is that you know the world is an illusion, man.
mm,
It's not real. You know, this is what you shouldn't be concentrating on. It's your real reward is in heaven. You know, wake up to the new earth, or pull yourself out of the simulation.
yeah,
Move out of the matrix. And it's like the whole being in touch with being a human and being with the earth is so missing from spirituality, other than in like Wicca and witchcraft and
yeah,
stuff. The thing that people kind of let's kind of whatever. That's not
yeah,
real spirituality. It's like, well, it's the only
yeah,
one that's in touch with the earth.
yeah,
But for really,
yeah,
everything else kind of goes out of its way to, in a large sense, to negate the human experience or get away from the human experience. Even from like Buddhism, you know, it's
yeah,
kind of has that whole thing from it. An awful lot of New Age is
yeah,
away from it, you know, it's seen it. And I think that's reflected in that you go, well, if I'm going to be a serious spiritual person, I can't be involved in materialism. It's like,
yeah.
well, and I did believe, not that I believed that, but I would have thought I didn't believe it, but I was acting like I believed it,
Hmm,
which
hmm.
is what I actually believe. But it's what are you doing is what you actually believe, not what you tell yourself. And that
That's
there's some
that's a
kind
really valid point. Yeah, yeah,
that it's like, it's all of the it's sinful or something, or that it's that you can't what do you call it engage with this kind of stuff because it's wrong, or it's it's illusionary for one thing, but also if you do, it's like why would you want stuff, there's something wrong with you to be selfish, to want something with your life, again come back to what we're saying about, like, that it's an affront to God, but it's also in one sense it's totally promoted as materialism is the solve for everything, and in the other, it's like that get away from it completely. Don't ignore it. The material world. Remove yourself. It's like, well, there's probably somewhere down the middle.
I think it's definitely down the middle. It's you get to either extreme and you start to deteriorate. And like your point about like religions, like broadly speaking, like a lot of religions point us to somewhere else for your reward or your happiness. And I've always found that very suspicious. This is where I get vaguely kind of like it's the man is telling you this, so you're fucking you do what he wants now, like made up prize after you die, but like parking that, I think it's quite interesting that that is a common pattern. It's always about well, you kind of suffer now, but it'll be okay later, and the idea that like yours I mean, it's embedded within Catholicism that like your fundamental kind of urges to procreate, your human sexuality, are a bad thing. Like the thing that propagates the species is a bad thing.
But also go forth and multiply. Just be confused about the entire thing.
Where I think like witchcraft does have a lot more of a kind of a connection with natural cycles and a natural sexuality, and the different expressions of life, kind of and death around you. And this is where I personally think being closer to nature or the wildness, if you're that way inclined, like probably will help accelerate, your and develop your witchcraft practice. Not for everybody, but I think it's like if you want to go for the swim, being closer to the sea is probably easier.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
but and I think an awful lot of that being that our political, spiritual, metaphysical outlooks are kind of anti-earth, if you want, whatever. It's the whole reason why no one seems to want to look after it.
Yes,
it's a complete neglect of all that, because one, some people think, well, that's not happening. Two, even if it is happening, we're going to heaven anyway, it's fine. Or oh well, so what? It's not. It's just an illusion that if I change my thoughts, then the world changes. It goes, well, maybe. If I'm standing there thumping you in the face, you can think whatever you want, but it's not changing it. you can disassociate, which is usually what actually people seems to be what they're doing, but you're not getting away from it.
Oh, that's hilarious. I like that analogy.
It's good to do it practically with people as well. I find that if you start hitting them, it snaps them out of it.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people who would be helped by it. Oftentimes
it's me, Dara, though, could be helped with a good slap.
That's it. That phrase that we have in Ireland that I'm not sure it exists in many other countries, but a cop-on slap.
Oh yeah, cop-on slap. Yeah, Apple needs a cop-on slap.
Put a cop-on slap. That's needed in there now. Yeah. And what was I going to say now? In terms of like, in terms of the music you've been creating, again, I was really struck by just it's fucking great. Like I was listening to it quite a bit, and like, how is that connected to your kind of your spiritual practice? Like, what's the kind of what's the birthing canal for your music like?
It's not exactly the same as everything. It starts with a compulsion. I have no choice in this. And I can either engage with it or I can ignore it to my peril. But it's coming out, and like the songs we're doing at the minute, it's interesting in that, and it's because they're called. I've a couple of names. But some sort of version of haunted or haunted songs, or there's this word eidolon, which is a fancy way of saying it, which I just kind of go, do I really care? Do I want to be that person? But it's the idea that songs that I've had around my head or been around me for like the last 20 years, 25 years, whatever, since I started writing songs, 30 years probably. Jesus Christ, I'm old. and that in some way have not fully manifested in the way that I wanted them to, or haven't at all. Like that last one, the Say a Little Prayer, I wrote that in my late 20s in a very fucking dark period.
Yeah.
And I've tried to record it a number of times. And I knew what it was. I knew what it was, and I didn't have the technology to do it. I didn't have the proper. I wasn't able to sing as well because I was smoking a million fags, as to say, and cigarettes. Excuse me. That's YouTube completely demonetizing this video. I didn't have whatever the means to manifest in the way that I wanted, the skill of recording, of playing, whatever it was. And there was a couple of songs like that as well that I had recorded a couple of times and actually released that I weren't even their final form, that it kind of felt. And these are the ones that when you pick up the guitar over the years, I've written a million songs, but there's kind of a core 10 or 20 that I seem to just play that just always are, hello, remember me, I'm still here, I still need to get out. So it's kind of, I find an awful lot of creativity in art, or I think art, magic, creativity, all that's the same. I know people have
I did too.
Totally disagree with me, but from my experience, experientially, they're the same to me. But they all feel like an exorcism. And it's a way of getting something out that is he wants to get out, and part of that is some form of therapy, self-help. Part of that is something that feels like it's not part of me at all. Some of that is it feels like it's trying to bring something new into the world, that manifest something that was only that we only knew from somewhere else. And some of it seems like it's just remembering something that you go, because you've been writing a song or you're doing, and you'll go da da da. No, that's not it. And it's as if you're trying to listen to hear it, and you go, that's it. It's that you're trying to recognize it rather than create it. So it depends. It's all of these things, but it definitely feels like it's almost like a guttural, in it, even vomiting something that is just this thing that's just that sounds like it's dark or it's black, but it's not. A lot of it is, but it's not always. It's this thing that just you're here. To part of it, I feel, is to bring the stuff from the other place to here, to have it be here. And that's part of the magicians, the witches, and the creative types thing to do, is to take the stuff from idea space, as Alan Moore would call it, or whatever, and have it here.
And like that's beautifully put, and I that is absolutely in alignment with my experiences. There's two bits that I'd like to kind of add to that and get your thoughts on. Is like the first bit, kind of going back to earlier part of the conversation about like being involved in digital spaces. So part of that kind of communication that I had was around this isn't for you, right? One aspect of that is, well, because there's a lot of people who kind of act at the lowest aspect of themselves, in social media. That's one part of it. The other part of it was making a clear runway for further communication and for the work that I was going to do. Is like in order for that to happen, I needed to be away from those spaces and not be kind of immersed in them. So that it actually kind of ties back to the same thing. But do you mean like in allegiances that would be formed, influences that would be had, thoughts that you would be susceptible to, or just the actual interaction? It's all of those things. All of those things, really. It's distraction. Okay. Distraction, like where it would kind of dilute my energy or focus from things. So it's to hone my focus in certain areas. That's what I believe, anyway. The other part of it is after that kind of getting it out, that expulsion. And I've had kind of days when I've done an awful lot of writing, and equally very similar to how you described it. It's remembering. I started writing poetry, and that is not in my nature. Like I'm too much of a fuckhead. Like I sometimes if someone starts playing a guitar in front of me, I get embarrassed for them. And I know that's me. That's not them. That's me, right? But that's the kind of shithead mentality. Like, so all that kind of stuff started just coming out. But I'd be knackered after it. Like had to go to bed at like 6 o'clock. So I'm absolutely fucked, right? It's like it's
Right.
totally drained me,
Yeah.
and then kind of when I finished I think that one of the last times we were chatting, I was saying I'm starting this piece to writing this book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I finished it, and when I finished it, the handed everything in the end of January this year, and then a couple of months afterwards were fucking awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
Are
imagine.
really, really hard.
It's weird how that happens, isn't it? Like,
Everything fucking crashed to deal with lots of
yeah.
bullshit, and but
Someone should warn you about that. But I mean, like everyone does warn you about it, and it's
yeah,
still like, all right, that thing that everyone says is going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. Right?
it's gonna happen. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like you just are kind of like, all right, enough with the initiations.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Yeah. Enough, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want me to actually do? Give up? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe surrender. Yeah, that might be it. Yeah.
Like it's that. Yeah. How do you manage that? That kind of when
Me?
you
I fall apart. Jesus Christ.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it's part of it is just acknowledging I know what it is, and that can be tough because you can kind of go, oh, it's a bit different this time. Because no, it's exactly the same.
Mhm.
And just I've got really, really good, sadly, in one way, at just keep plowing ahead, even as everything falls apart. Now I can't not at 100%, but enough. And that, like, I mean, I bring it up a lot, but the Catholic guilt is great for getting you through shitty places because you have the depression and you have the sadness, but you also have the anxiety going. If you don't do something, you're a dickhead. You're wasting your life, whatever. So you go right up, even drag yourself out of bed, and continued whatever the next project is, the next thing, and absolutely not feeling it or whatever. But you can get a bit numb with that stuff, though. You can kind of, but the stuff I was talking about that last year was very much that. All of that, just things falling apart. Everything, everything, like literally everything breaking.
Yeah,
computers. There's a whole list I did at one point. I'll not bore everyone with it again, but it's like everything broke. Washing machines, fucking dishwashers. The house, a window fell out of the fucking house. Well, and you can go, grand, but like this is like constant every day to be something just, and then things that you were relied on, like even income streams or friendships or stuff, just went, and it was like I didn't know where I was, who I was, what I believed, who I could talk to. I felt very distant from everyone. And in one way, I was making myself distance, but I was making myself distance because I wasn't resonating with what was going on. And even within my own kind of community that I had built up, say the online one, my Discord, whatever, I just felt completely, I have nothing in common with any of these people that I've attracted around me.
Yeah.
And it's just keep going. There's no kind of bit at the end where I go, right, yes, I've done that. I understand it now. That was what I just kind of then peters out a bit. Saturn just goes, I think he's had enough. I think he's got the point. Moves away for a while. Jupiter doesn't come in and give you loads of money. He just goes, yeah.
No, it's
sit there for a while.
Yeah, it's very Saturnian. That's but it seems to be kind of everything I do is involved, like with
I have an awful lot of Saturnian energy around. That oppressive. It's there. It's heavy. It's here. Hello.
Hello.
It's
like well done on your book. You're still a dickhead. You gotta sort this out. Yeah. Now it's all about restriction, and I'm gonna put you through this meat grinder until you fucking realize that.
Yeah, and then at the end, what you'll realize is that it doesn't matter anyway. Oh, thanks. That's and I'm still a dickhead.
Yeah. It's just like, it's like someone at the back of the class, like dickhead. Just
I tell you, there was one, and it's so horrible, but it's such a typical kind of thing that it's like when my son was born, and it was no sleep, no nothing. He was having an awful time. It was bad, like days and days of. I'm in bed with him, the slime sign. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I haven't slept. He hasn't slept. We've been shouting at each other. I feel like the worst person in the world because, I've turned into my own dad that I promised I never would do, all of this thing. I'm just lying there, and there's a brief moment. And then in the back of my mind, his voice goes, and you're fat too. I go, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Really? like,
That's hilarious.
but it was one of those ones that a part of me is laughing because it's so, and another part of me going, really, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, can I not even have a breakdown, please?
Yeah.
On my own terms. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I've kind of continually done in my practice is like we kind of my morning routine of like of prayer to the different different spirits I work with and spirits placed and all that kind of stuff. But when we ask for kind of like change or help me deal with this weak spot, that you might be aware of that weak spot or conditions in your life, and you pray for change, that like you have to add the kind of caveats to that change. And like one of the things, the Virgin Mary is kind of is a syncretic feature in my prayers. I've kind of amalgamated her into the white lady,
the goddess.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly. Yeah, and
the Dark Mother. Yeah.
I ask for compassion. Show me compassion,
right?
To try and kind of offset all the other shit that I'm going through, or at least soften it.
Yeah.
Don't close the door on my head 10 times, just 5.
I suppose because an awful time when we want change, we don't really want change. We just want a better version, I suppose, of the thing.
But really astute. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah.
But to actually have change, you have to burn everything down, start again, an awful lot of the times, because it's like that old saying of that, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Or if you keep doing the same thing and over and expecting a different result, although that is how you learn a musical instrument, to doing the same thing over and over again till eventually get a different result. But it's just we're probably our own worst enemies, though. But in that we bring this on, like we ask for it, and particularly when you start engaging with all the stuff that we know. It's the thing we're saying. Like, it's not as if people don't say that magic ruins your life.
Yeah.
We know it does, but it's by design. It's not that it's because that's what people kind of going about. Oh, what about what's the worst kind of pushback, or when everything went wrong, whatever. When the things go wrong, an awful lot of times, that's your magic actually working.
Yeah.
That's the thing. What, like, in order for you to get what you decided you want to do, sometimes you have to lose your job or whatever it is. Like sometimes, it depends if you're working with particularly mischievous entities or whatever, or you've particularly bad shadows. It could be just bad luck for bad luck. But
yeah.
But it is what you sign up for as a magician, as a witch, or whatever label seeker that you want to put on it.
Yeah. And like, I mean, like through this process, like a lot of stuff that I didn't believe in before, I kind of believe in now. Like
for what? Like,
well, things like predestination, predetermination of lives.
Okay.
I kind of believe a lot more on that. I think we have free will to a degree, but I think a lot of kind of like, I think we come here for a purpose. Our free will dictate whether or not we achieve that purpose. But I think a lot of the stuff we kind of have determined that we're here to learn. I'm here to experience Earth and being a human being with this plethora of conditions that represent my life. I've kind of gotten to that position, and like and I think synchronicities and how stuff lines up. When I get into, when things align for me, when I kind of in the right presence of mind, the right thought, or I've made a challenging decision where I've not been a dickhead, and then I see, well, okay, the road opens and I'm straight through. That's it. Kind of gets me into this position that there is already a path, but I'm the one who's got to find the path. Predetermined probably isn't the best way of describing it, but I think like in our in whatever our pre-human state is, that there's an idea of like, well, if we think about life as a game, you have an idea of you're picking out the game. You're picking out the game you're going to play. You're designing your avatar.
Pause just for 1 second. My battery's just wasting.
Yeah, no worries.
Even though that battery should last for 3 hours. So, and it lasts what?
recording there.
50 minutes.
It's fucking mad.
Yeah. Because we did a number of videos, me and Duncan, when we were doing the Nadana deck, putting it together, and they were like, we sat for hours doing them, man.
Oh wow,
It was fine. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's mad.
So just go back to what you were saying about the kind of the predestination, and that you're some part of you sees beforehand. The very first time I came across that idea was Stuart Wilde. He was a very popular, like a hugely popular New Age writer in the 80s and 90s, like the biggest name, and then no one knows him. It's very strange.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Like bigger than Wayne Dyer, like that kind of level of stuff. And he talked about that the fact that the soul could see the first 7 years of the human life, and that they could make the kind of decision of what it had to learn from that.
Yeah.
Which, okay, but how do we know? So that that's an interesting paradigm to look through.
Yeah.
The Theosophists would say it's to do with vibration, man. In that, if you vibrate on like they see it, it's very cool. Like to see there's 3 notes. You have your note, then you have like a third above it and a fifth above it, just like a chord, and these kind of influences. And if you were vibrating at a particular level, say even down to anger, and it's a very vibratory of in a life, then what you will move towards in the next life is the opposite of that. So that you will vibrate it. You'll be very weak in the hope that there's a kind of a balancing out of something like that. I think that's probably true in a sense, because apart from that, the whole idea of like vibrations, man, has been ruined for us. But it is something that like so in reality transurfing, there's this idea of a pendulum, which I think is a kind of a bad name for it. I think it's a Russian guy who did it, and I think vortex would probably be a better translation. But it's the idea. It's like an egregore. It's like your family has a particular pendulum. That's an energy, it's like a feel, a vibration. It rules. There's everything. And once you're outside it, that's fine. But as soon as you go home, you're now in it.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in the office, there's a particular thing. And then what's really weird is when you're out on the street with someone from your office, so you're vibrating to that pendulum. Then you meet someone from school, and you go, oh, I don't know who to be. I don't know. It's like you're kind of mismatched energetically.
That's really interesting. And do you know what? Like, I know, going back to the top of the show, that's one of the reasons that I somehow didn't sit well with Facebook, because I had all that entire constellation that you've described hovering around, and it's like I'm a different person to all of those
people,
and and the me who was going to school in the west of Ireland is very different from me who was working in an agency in London. Like,
sure, yeah. And how easily you could fall into that energy again if you had 5-year schoolmates.
Yeah,
totally. In the pub.
Totally.
Yeah, you're there. You're there. It's back. That's who you are. Yeah. It's very clear to see them when there's two parts of your life.
Yeah.
You knew it as a kid anyway when you hang around with your friends and then your mum showed up. It's like there's 2 different pendulums or vibrations or whatever.
One of my youngest has already started that kind of like, oh God, I'm so embarrassed by my parents. Shit. Like,
oh right, yeah.
Yeah, he's 7. And
already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
that's fun ahead of you then. So.
Yeah, and it's like that. Like you can see that the dynamic shifted, and that he's behaving in a different way with his friends when I was around.
Right.
It's interesting to see that. Like I'm not sure what age your lad is.
He is 5 in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
he still likes me. He still wants to be around.
I'm still like like very cool unless his mates come around. Then it's like
right. Yeah.
Oh, Dad, you need to
leave.
Dad. Yeah. So we're going to talk about Minecraft here.
Right. Yeah. Heavy stuff.
Yeah. But it's interesting watching kind of consciousness download into small people.
Yeah. One of the biggest things for me was having a kid, and it's significant for a lot of people. I'm not alone.
I've heard.
Yeah.
Didn't mean shit to me, but you know,
it's very significant in ways that I wasn't expecting, which of course is the experience of everyone.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like realizing the cyclical nature of things and stuff I would not have recognized about my own life and my old childhood had I not seen it from the vantage point of being an adult in it, and being more forgiven and open to the traumatic experiences of my childhood and the family unit and stuff like that, to not that the behavior is acceptable or good or excusable, but it's understandable.
Yeah.
Especially when you catch yourself in a moment of doing it yourself and go, how have I got to the point where I'm doing everything that I said I'm not? And how then being able to look at my life from a very different perspective and have a very more appreciation of things that I wouldn't have had I just couldn't ever have seen that had I not had a kid. And that's not to say that other people couldn't appreciate that. I'm sure they could. I personally would never have got to that point. No matter how much therapy I did or realizing, self-introspection, that's purely a lesson that you'll only learn from introspection or from experience. Yeah. So
I agree with that. Like parenthood and fatherhood gave me a perspective on my own parents that I don't think I would have achieved without them.
No.
To the point I was excuse me. I realized that I'd held someone to a standard that I actually would have struggled to achieve myself.
Sure,
It's very healing and a lot more appreciative about what's been done for me. Kind of realizing that.
Yeah. But again, just to stress, it's in recognizing the behavior, it's not making excuses. There still should be behaviors, whoever's doing them, but it's an understanding of it, and
that's exactly it. Yeah.
And probably realizing that I wasn't a saint in all of these stories I tell myself. Well, when I replay them, realizing that you go, I probably deserved that, in some way or whatever it was.
I was a fucking crazy kid. I really was.
Were you? Yeah.
Mental kid.
I was an angel. I did nothing wrong. Perfect on every level. How dare you say otherwise?
I used to go to the principal's office so much in primary school that he started bringing in snacks for me.
That's brilliant. That's amazing.
So much. Like I was dyslexic, and obviously like fucking Ireland in the 80s. It's like you mean thick is what you mean.
Yeah, like, you were at the very front where everything with all the other people who were equally dyslexic who couldn't read this kind of stuff.
They're like,
that whole first row of primary school. Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
Dyslexia or anything. Yeah, the spectrum row.
Yeah, exactly. But that is. That's when I think back on that now more, seeing my own kids grow up, kind of I start to think about that's you have a very expressive and expansive young mind that's hungry for knowledge in areas that it's interested about, and then you've got to sit in a chair for whatever it was, 5 hours a day,
20 years.
I couldn't do it. It was like the antithesis of my nature as a boy.
Yeah. It's very odd to see as well the different kind of levels of what kids like, in that there's definitely the biological thing where you can go, he talks exactly like his granda who he never met, or his great granda, whatever. There's all the stuff that's definitely coming down through the lines, and then the stuff that's coming from nowhere that they just bring in with them, that's neither nature, nurture, nothing. That's just that's more the more interesting one, because you're going well, where's that coming from? This kind of notion of that it's like the Buddhist kind of thing is that you're just things arising, it's the dependent co-ariser or whatever. There's causes, there's no self. It's just things. I'd go, well, no, there's something going on there that it isn't just one of these factors. And I know it's not quite what the Buddhists are saying, that it's just a number of, but that's part of my objection to why I'm not a Buddhist, is the negation of human experience in a lot of ways that it comes with Buddhism, and the disenchantment of the human experience. It's like through doing the deck that I was doing with Duncan Barford, the Dana deck, which is it's a chaos magic approach to Buddhism. Very clearly, I don't think the Buddhists would get the seal of approval too much.
Yeah.
We kind of sneak a self in, and there's definitely a holy guardian angel in it. But what it's like, if someone sat down, which is essentially what happened, and says, what is actually happening rationally? What's the most pragmatic and practical approach to this? That's what Buddhism is, and it's fantastic in that, and it definitely you can map the insights that you'll get from that, and the awakening experience, all of that. I believe all of that's true, but I don't think it's ultimately true. I think it's just one way of looking at the world, but I think everything on it is accurate for that view of the world.
Yeah,
but it's kind of I don't know, which is part of the reason why the whole thing's set in the desert. The Dana deck, there's just something lacking. It's not a forest. It's not a green field. It's a lot of sand and rock, and there's something very representative of Buddhism for me in stone. The dry, I know the Tibetan stuff and all that has the Catholic bells and it's like the Catholicism of Buddhism, like they do have a more than magic, but your standard Buddhism doesn't seem to allow for woo in the way it clearly is.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Not to negate the usefulness or the insight or anything you can, but it's like, it's like the Kashmir Shaivism then has a self, man, or whatever. But they, which is, I really like that kind of thing. But they have this kind of notion that everything is already the complete emanation of God. It's already done, which is probably ties into your predestination stuff and all that as well. But I go, no, I think there's a creative thing in the world that isn't accounted for in a complete emanation of God. Why are we searching for something? Why are we evolving? What are we looking for if we already know the answers? Other than the standard, we've forgotten because life's a game, which I find horrifying. Why would someone, horrifying?
Why would you play this?
Why would you play it? And like, I because you're bored. Yeah, because like, God, why would God be bored? I think an incomplete God who's trying to solve something or become something or evolving or is an echo of actually what is happening makes sense, but not someone who starts with knowing everything and decided to do this. Jesus Christ. Why would you do this if you know everything?
It's a very challenging question to address. It really is. I mean, looking at going back to that kind of the notion of like things recurring in families, like traits, skills, indeed kind of the example you give of like voice. Some of the work that kind of I've been looking at in witchcraft and stuff that came up for me is like these longer cycles through family lines that spirits have been working with, same spirits or emanations of the same spirits,
right,
like going back centuries, millennia even. And it made me kind of think about that, like familial structures in a different way. That, say for example, if we're looking at, the whole idea I was saying, like spirits don't see time in a linear fashion, right? They're seeing past, present, and future at the same time. It's possibilities. If that's the case, then observing human beings, observing familial lines, is seeing us as kind of like pearls on a string and the latest iteration of whatever your family line is. You're seeing us in a far more kind of complete way, and less as a kind of a separate individual, but more of kind of like the manifestation of that genetic possibility and that kind of ensoulment in that time frame, but experiencing all those time frames that experiencing time in a way that we can't simultaneously. And it really made me kind of think about kind of like how different we may be being perceived from outside of our kind of lineal path. That's kind of just a thought, and I kind of wanted to
It's very similar to Grant Morrison's idea of that's how he sees us, that it's a growing
really?
like a larvae of
He
that
does,
exactly
doesn't he?
what
He does exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. I remember that now.
yeah.
In them, it's the Invisibles, isn't he? He talked about that.
Yeah, well, and various YouTube videos where he randomly asks about Magick and gives this standard answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's a bit of Alan Moore has that in. Did you read Jerusalem? That was a tough goal for me, but I got through it. But he talks about that it's that everywhere has this place, rather than it just being where I am now, whatever, what I can see around it. It contains the entirety of everything that's ever been here. And that you can see it, and that has that kind of, you're haunted by the entire thing. Which seems, I mean, if time doesn't exist, which it doesn't, clearly, we can more or less prove that it doesn't. Like that thing, I was watching Brian Cox talk on TikTok the other day, for some reason it comes up, and I like him, but he annoys me as well at times. But he's talking about that if you have a clock and you run away from someone, that clock starts slowing down. I think, oh, Jesus Christ, time's so weird, isn't it?
It's strange.
So like very... Like, not that you would notice by looking at it, but if an accurate enough clock, or an accurate enough clock, that you'll see it. And how arbitrary we have 24 hours, all of these things. But and our experience of time is very strange. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that the last couple of years?
Fucking weird, really weird.
Yeah, it's very weird, very weird. Yeah. So if you take time completely out of it, then I'd say it's a lot of blob movements, kind of shapes, rather that kind of stuff, rather than individuals.
Yeah, on a very, very different and a very lowbrow note, there's something
nice. I like where you're going.
there's something prickish about Brian Cox. I don't know what it is. I think it's his resolute I am right about everything, that definitely doesn't help.
No. But I mean, it's a particular, it's a I don't know, TV physicist personality. There's a few of them who have it. I do, of all of them, I quicker watch him than a good few of them. But there's something. Yeah, can I just slap you, please? Also because he was in D-Ream, so I mean that's enough to.
It's not great either, is it? No. We should explain to listeners that like this kind of conversation is an Irish pastime. Like
yeah, for sure. We're just not saying it's, well, he's English, like that's it. But we understand that. That's where the conversation, we knew where we were coming from. So
that innate negativity,
Englishness.
Yeah, you're like prick.
Why does anyone in England ever listen to anything we do? Because it's just like no idea. Particularly when means it comes up so much in Tasta as well with Spud, where it's just this constant berating the English people. 600 years or 900, depending what statistic you want to go with.
Go for the 900, the niner.
Yeah.
And it always makes me laugh. Like there was I saw like something on I think it was Twitter just when lockdown happened, and it really fucking cracked me up. But it was a uniquely Irish tweet, which just kind of summated that whole kind of mentality. Whereas this guy basically said, I was just in the start of lockdown and what have you. He's like, I saw a bloke I used to not get on with at school, and at the garage. We're filling up our cars, a bit awkward. Anyway, I said, this is a bit weird, and I hope you're right and you get through it, be nice. And he told me to go fuck myself. And I loved it. It cracked me up because I just was like, even against the backdrop of all this fucking chaos, there's still a grudge from school.
And you know what? He was right. He was right.
Yeah.
He was right. Good follow through. Man of convictions.
Fucking cracked me up.
Irish people, the greatest in the world.
Totally. Yeah, grudges for life, not just for Christmas. I was going to say, where's the best place for people to find you if they want to grab you?
adventuresinwoowoo.com, and probably the best thing to do is sign up to the newsletter, because then I own your soul, and I can sell it on to a third party for a profit. No, because I do one a newsletter about once a month now, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
More than that. And but all the links, everything you ever want to know about me is in there. But I'm on all the social medias as Tommie Kelly, Tommie.
Yeah.
Or it's pretty much all of them. It's the first thing I do whenever I hear about a new social media is book my name and then not use it. So.
Thank you, Tommie. I hope you all enjoyed that. It was a really rich conversation, and indeed one that continued after we stopped recording. So if you are interested in Tommie's work, then do have a look at the show notes. There's plenty there, including the full list of the Black Entity shows today. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm Darren Mason, and you've been listening to The Spirit Box. Take care and talk soon. Bye.